Hey guys, for those of you that don't know, I've been turning the FPS template on Roblox into a full-fledged game. I haven't posted in a while, but I've made some major changes, so let's get straight into it. Alright, so from the very beginning of this development journey, I wanted to make a rocket launcher. Rocket launchers are just so much fun with their knockback mechanics and area damage. It took me a while, but after a lot of bug fixing, I was able to make a fully working rocket launcher fire mode with knockback, area damage, and a heightened direct damage. I made a quad launcher model for it because I didn't want some cliche rocket launcher model that every other game has. You may have noticed that there is a little bug where the weapon pulls other players towards you instead of pushing them away, but I'll fix that later because it's not a big deal. Also, I did make a shirt on this as well, so go check that out if you want. The next weapon I made was a grappling hook because they're just so much fun for movement. It is just so awesome to fly around the map with a grappling hook. Surprisingly, this one took me the least amount of time out of all the new weapon fire modes I made, and I really like it. I didn't end up making a model yet because I wasn't really sure how to model it, and also the actual grapple animation is going to look a lot better on release. Now, the next weapon I made is a unique weapon. I haven't really seen any weapons like this on Roblox, and the weapon I made is a continuous beam gun. My friends suggested this one, and I thought it was a really cool idea. The main thing I had to add to set up this gun was some visual speed for the laser. Basically, all my weapons have the same exact visual speed, which gives the bullets that laser/bullet look. I just had to make the visual speed for this weapon a lot lower, and then change some hit detection, and it works pretty well. I made the beam responsive to the environment, so it changes sizes depending on how close or far the beam goes. And I got a chance to practice my sound design and animation skills to make this epic reload. I basically just combined sizzling bacon, Godzilla's atomic breath, and a triple beep for it to work. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the style of this gun is a bit different than my other guns, and that's because I made it in Blender, which is an app for making 3D models and animating. I tried Blender in the past but drifted away from it and I was scared to come back. I decided I should just watch a few tutorials and fight my fears so I can make my weapons, gadgets, and other stuff in Blender for the future. I mostly made the gun through trial and error and almost quit, but in the end it was worth it. I encourage you all to conquer your fears and try out that one thing you might not feel comfortable with, because it could really help. I also made another model in Blender, which was this TS12 shotgun. I made it automatic and it's pretty fun to use. Also, from here on out, my weapons will all be made in Blender. The next thing I added to the game was wall running. I watched my friend playing Titanfall 2 and thought the wall running was super cool and satisfying, and since I'm a game developer I thought, why not add it to my own game? I tried using a template, but it didn't really work out, so I decided to code from scratch. It didn't take too long to make, and I added some camera tilt and gun bob to make it more satisfying. This is the final product, and there still is a bit to improve on before the game releases, but the wall running is pretty epic. In this past month, the thing I spent the most time on was melee weapons. Melee weapons are in most FPS games, and they just add a little bit extra that makes the game more fun. I felt like it was overdue, and I wanted to add them to my game. So I ended up modifying the existing gun script to incorporate them, and it was pretty rough to figure out things like hit detection, but it turned out alright, and there are still some bugs, but the system works pretty well. I also added a backstab multiplier, knockback, and you could hit multiple enemies at once. Just so you guys know, I threw the model and its animations together in a very short amount of time so I could test the system and see if it works, and this will not be a weapon that I will release to the game. Now, melee weapons are fun in games, but they're also bland, and I don't like bland. I want my weapons to be unique. One game I've played a lot is Pixel Gun 3D, and they have this mechanic where a few of their weapons have a charge ability, and the length of the charge determines how much damage, but also how far you could dash. I like this idea and had the AI help me set it up. It coded a charge bar, which I modified a bunch, and this is the final result. It has 3 charge levels, which each increase dash distance and the damage. I didn't stop at a dash though. Another game I've played a lot is Elden Ring. They have some amazing melee weapons, and one that popped in my mind was the Moonlight Greatsword. This sword is an endgame item, and it has the ability to shoot a moon projectile. I thought it would be so cool if I had a projectile ability for my charging, so I decided to add it. The projectile has increased speed, damage, and size as the charge level increases, and it deals increased backstab damage. I also added a cool glow effect for when you're charging. I'm not an expert at VFX yet, and I'll probably improve this later on, but it looks decent for now. I also added something where your speed increases by a certain amount for each charge level, so you can run around super fast like this. There's also a small glitch where your speed stacks, but I can fix that later. Another final ability added to the melee weapon was Flight after dash. This ability will be for a specific weapon that I'll make in the next devlog. Let's just say I might be making a certain hammer from the Marvel Universe. The cool thing about all these abilities is that they are customizable, so a weapon can have all of them, none of them, or certain variations of the traits I've added. I did this so I could create a variety of cool melee weapons. Next update, I'll use these traits and make 3 cool new melee weapons. Also, were 2 extra bugs I wanted to mention about the melee weapon, and they're sort of are related because the AI made a cooldown for dashing and projectiles, but it made it way too short. So I could dash around the map like this and basically fly, or I could literally just spam the projectile as much as I want. I could even freaking put an auto clicker on and go crazy like this, and it sort of becomes the most highest DPS weapon in the game, and it just is really funny, but it's an easy fix. I just have kept it for now because it's really funny. After this, I added 2 new weapons. I modeled a Glock in Blender and then just added a cool looking silencer to it and made a silence Glock. In Roblox, I textured both guns completely different and gave them unique shooting noises. But they're both single guns. And you know what's better than 1 gun? 2 guns. The final weapon type I added to the game was dual wield. But it isn't the ability to wield 2 different weapons at once. Instead, I basically just added a bunch of code for dual wield and then copied the model and moved it over. The rest was just editing the animations and the code for the animations. I also added an attribute so I could have alternating dual wield weapons and non-alternating weapons. An example of alternating would be like this, where the right blaster shoots and then the left blaster. Non-alternating is like the Uzi, where both fire at the same time. Also, on a side note, I ended up modifying the Uzi model from last update to make it look cooler and less blocky. Last but not least, I started building some maps. One of my close friends who is an experienced Roblox builder offered to help. I was all for it and we started working on a city map. We ended up adding a few buildings, a parking garage, a sewer system, and a bunch of assets to make it all come together. We didn't end up finishing it, but this is the progress we're at so far. We're pretty close to finishing and we will hopefully have it done by the next devlog. However, I still wanted a map built by the end of this devlog and I had the perfect idea. I'm sure most of you know about Squid Game, but if you don't, it's a popular show where poor people get recruited to play children's games for money. One of the maps that always comes up is the staircase map, and I thought it would be so cool to add it, so I got straight to work. This is the final product. I have the different colored steps, and I added the purple steps from Season 2. I think the map turned out pretty cool, and I might still make a few changes as I playtest it more. To wrap this video up, I want to talk about you guys. I have been hard at work on this game, but I'm by myself, and I don't have a ton of experience, so it could be pretty challenging at times. I still really enjoyed the development, but I could use some help. In the last video, a few people reached out and asked to help out for free, and now I have a builder, UI designer, and scripter that all want to help with the game. So if any of you guys have any skills that could help me out, tell me in the comments section. Right now I could really use a VFX designer and animator. Also, those of you who help out will get access to play the game. I've seen a few requests for tutorials as well, so if this video gets 100 likes, I'll try to make some tutorials. If you guys want to keep up with this game development journey, make sure to subscribe, and if you guys have any cool suggestions for the game, make sure to let me know in the comments, because I might add them to the game. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care.